Hello, welcome to my craft channel Susie Makes. This is a craft channel taking through a series of crafts mainly at beginner level. At the moment I'm working on crochet with a view for you to complete your first granny square. As you can see, we've done rows 1 and 2, and so today is about row 3, this pink one. So I have my hook ready on the granny square, ready to take the pink. As you can see, I have left a tail of about 6 inches. I will, if I can find the end of my yarn anyway, here it is. Leave about the same length of the pink. You sew your tails in later. Now I have a firm hold on the working loop on my hook and on the chain and on the tails underneath. Now this is my working yarn, the one that leads to the ball of yarn. So in order to change from green to pink, you simply put the yarn over the hook and pull it through your working loop. And there you have your pink ready to go for round 3. So I've pulled the tails slightly so that we don't have any nasty ugly gapping. And to start off on our first treble cluster in pink, remember we do the pretend treble, which is 3 chains, to give you the height that you need in order to work the next round. So we go 1, 2, 3. So there you have your 3 chains. You just pull those tails slightly so that you get a nice even look there. There, 1, 2, 3 chains. That's your pretend treble. Now you need 2 more to complete the treble cluster. So now yarn over your hook. Put your hook into the corner that you're working on. Yarn over the hook again. And I am capturing the tails in the first 2 stitches of this. It just helps secure it a bit more. And you pull your hook through, you have your 3 stitches on the hook. You go back to the beginning, yarn round the hook, take your hook through the first 2 stitches. Once again, yarn round the hook, take your hook through the last 2 stitches. And there you're back to the beginning. You have your pretend treble, which is your 3 chains there, and the treble you've just worked there. 1 more to complete this cluster. So yarn over your hook, put your hook through the corner, yarn over the hook and pull through. There's your 3 stitches. Yarn over the hook, pull through the first 2, yarn over hook, pull through the last 2. And still just gently pulling on those. And there you have your first treble cluster of round 3. And your tails will be sewn in later. There. Now we've done this one, we're going to be working around until we come back to this one. Now as this gets bigger, you'll see in your side panels of your granny square that you are developing gaps that need treble clusters in as well. So in the green one, we developed the gap for this pink treble cluster here. So now, as we've completed this treble cluster in this corner, we now need to create the gap. So you're always creating gaps for the next round and the next round until you finish. And then we will do the treble cluster on the side panel. So if you've seen the previous videos, you'll remember to create the gap is 1 chain. So there we have it, yarn round hook and pull it through. Now we're going to do the treble cluster through here, which is the same as this one. So yarn round your hook, put your hook into the gap which sits in between 2 corners. Yarn round your hook and pull through, and there you have your 3 stitches, yarn round your hook, pull through the first 2, yarn round the hook, pull through the second 2, back to the beginning. You've done your first treble in your middle gap. Do 2 more, yarn round into the gap, yarn round, pull through, yarn round, pull through the first 2 stitches, yarn round, pull through the second 2 stitches. There you have 2. So you need 1 more, yarn round into the gap, yarn round, pull through. There's your 3, yarn round, pull through the first 2 stitches, yarn round, pull through the second 2 stitches. And there you have your treble cluster in the gap. So that's this here. Now we're going to do the second corner. So in order to do that, we need to create this gap first, and then we'll go on to the second corner. So to create a gap, we've got it, chain 1. Now we're going to work that second corner. Yarn round your hook, hook into the second corner, yarn round your hook again, pull through, and there's your 3 stitches. Yarn round your hook, pull through the first 2, leaving 2, yarn round your hook, pull through the second 2, leaving you back at the beginning and having worked your first treble into your second corner. Do 2 more. And the last one for that treble cluster. And there. You've completed the first treble cluster of this corner. Now we need to make another corner. And if you've seen the previous videos again, that is a chain 2 for a corner. So 1, 2. And now we're going to complete the corner by making the second treble cluster. So yarn round the hook, back into the same corner, yarn round your hook, pull through, there's your 3 stitches, yarn round your hook, pull through the first 2, and to complete, yarn round the hook, pull through the second 2. So that's your first treble of the second treble cluster in your second corner. Do 2 more. I won't talk the instructions all the way through because I'm sure you've got it now. There. It is a nice, once you get the hang of it, is a nice quick thing to do as well. So there you have your second treble cluster, and your second corner is now complete. So now we're going to make a gap before we go on to the second side treble cluster here. So to make a gap is a single chain, and then working into this gap on the side panel here, we're going to make another treble cluster. So 1, 2, 3. Now you just want 1 chain to make this gap here. And now we're going to work the third corner of the third round. So yarn round your hook and 3 trebles into the third corner. 1, 2, 3. There you have your first treble cluster in the third corner. Make the corner, which is 2 chains, 1, 2. Make your second treble cluster to complete that third corner. One, just get a bit more yarn out here. Two, three, and then chain one to make your gap, and you're ready to there. So now you've made the third corner. Now we're going to make the next side treble cluster, which is in this gap here. I already did my chain one, so it's yarn round the hook and straight into the side gap we go. One, two, three, chain one, and here we are into this next corner. So we do 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3, 2 chains to make the corner, and another 3 trebles to complete that corner. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1 to make the next gap. So now we have gone from here all the way round to here, and we need to make this last side treble cluster before we end up back at the corner where we started. So I've already done my chain one, so yarn over the hook into the last gap in the side. Let's get myself a bit more yarn out here. One, two, three, chain one. There, we've completed that one now. Mine does look looser than this one because I'm using a larger hook to try and make it a bit clearer on video for you. Now we're going back to where we started to complete this corner. See that only half of it is done. So we've started there, now we need to complete it here. So I've done my chain one, I've put my yarn round the hook and back into the first corner and complete 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Now instead of a chain 2 to complete your last corner, you chain 1. And as in the previous round, I will remind you, the very first chain 3 you did, the pretend treble that we start off with to give you the height to move from one level up to the next. You see 1, 2, 3 chains there. Our hook is going to go into the third chain, which is underneath there. I'll show you with my needle. On the back of that is a single strand of yarn going across that chain, and there's the 2 loops of the chain sitting on the top. So we've done a chain 1, so we put our hook underneath the 3rd chain of your beginning chain 3, put the yarn round the hook, take it through, so you've got, this is a double crochet, 2 loops on your hook, to put your yarn through, take it through those 2 loops, and there you are, back to the beginning. Reason I do a double crochet, I'll just reiterate again there, is to give you this little platform here to work your next or last round of your granny square. So where you're going to start here on your next row, that gives you the little platform for your 3 trebles to hold on to while you work your way around. The very final row, you will not need a double crochet there if it is your final row, and I will show you how to complete it when we get there. So we have completed row 3 of our granny square. Now we're just going to sew in the ends. So we thread up this pink first. Now I forgot to bring my scissors with me, so I'm just going to break the yarn, but ideally you have the scissors because that can hurt. Just move my yarn out the way there. Now you can take your hook off at this stage, but just pull the loop through a bit so that it doesn't unravel. Now I've got my darning needle threaded with the pink yarn on the back, and to complete this round I will now take my needle underneath the stitches on the back of my granny square, which was about halfway up that treble cluster I went. Now a little bit higher up, nearer the top, we'll take the needle through again the other way, so that's like a zigzag motion. You can pull it a bit to make sure that there's no stretch there. And there you have. I haven't got my scissors with me, so I'll snip that later. But you get the idea. Take your yarn through the back of your granny square, and hide it underneath the stitches of the treble clusters. Don't pull tight and then cut it, because once you've pulled it about a bit and got it to the shape you want and that, then it can unravel. So make sure when you've put your tails in, sewn your tails in on the other side, that you do pull it about a bit to loosen it up, so that it doesn't unravel at a later stage. Nothing looks more unsightly than an unravelling granny square. So there you have round 3. Thank you for joining me, and please pop back when we do our final one, which will probably be the day after tomorrow. Today's Thursday, so it could be tomorrow, it could be Saturday. Thank you for joining me.